What's cooking, Juventus fans? Welcome back to your old lady's favorite YouTube channel. We've got a packed show for you today. Obviously, the first big story we're talking about is Juventus are very, very serious when it comes to Sergej Milinkovic-Savic and bringing him to Juventus from Lazio. How will they be able to get it done? We'll see, as well as some other names we've got to talk about in the midfield. You know that's an ongoing story until the end of the Mercado comes, as well as Juventus have some serious decisions to make. Are they going to pick? They have to pick one between Rovella and Fagioli. Who will be their option? Stick with us. We'll fill you in. Ciao ragazzi, welcome back to the Bianconeri Zone. My name is Justin Sofro. Today it's Wednesday, April 6th, 2022, and of course I've got your latest rundown of all things Juventus, all the news that you care about each and every day, and as quickly as possible, get you in, get you out and about your day. Before we do anything though, let's go ahead and smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos, and without any further ado, let's just dive into it. Alright, the very first thing we have for you today is we're talking about Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, and CalcioMercato.com are reporting saying that contacts between Juventus and the agent of Milinkovic-Savic have picked up during the last days, with the club now being serious about making an offer in the summer. So this will come as something that's very exciting for a lot of fans, including myself, especially when we talk about the Mercado options. We talked about a lot on the live yesterday. If you haven't already checked it out, make sure you check it out. I understand a lot of times right now, maybe you're a little bit down because of the results from Sunday, but definitely we have a lot of good content going each and every day around the channel. Anyway, as it stands right now with Juventus and Milinkovic-Savic, it's going to be one that they're very interested in. We know that Arrivabene and Cherubini are crazy about this player. The only issue is the amount of money. It's going to be a very expensive get. Right now, it looks like they're asking about 70 million euros for him. And I understand also, yeah, there's been that number linked with Zaniolo about 70 million euros, but let's not kid ourselves. The two are not equivalent right now. If you can get Milinkovic-Savic, who's not an injury-prone player like Zaniolo, and the amount of the aspects of his play, you get this player. You see if you can do it. But right now, we'll see how Juventus does it. Also, are the Elkins serious? Is Exor serious about footing the bill to bring in the success that the club needs, right? And that would be the option right now that I would be looking at to see if that gets done in the near future. But right now, that's what we know. It seems like Milinkovic-Savic is up there with the names, up there with Zaniolo, up there with Pogba, and all that good stuff we have going on. Let's continue on, though. We have another name that's, according to Dario Pellegrini, is saying that this is a plan A for Juventus, and I would disagree. But anyway, he goes on to say that plan A is De Jong. Things need to be sorted out from Barcelona. Promises have been made. The arrival of Kessié has definitely angered the Dutchman's entourage. And this is where I'm confused. And I don't know if this maybe was taken out of context and maybe we're wrong and maybe this was talked about somebody else or maybe there's some other situation going on. De Jong is not a plan A for Juventus. I don't know where this is coming from. If that is a serious idea that's being floated out there, I strongly disagree. I think once you bring in Zakaria and players like that, I don't think De Jong's going to be an option for Juventus right now with what they're working at. And I think while De Jong would be good, I know obviously Julian would be very excited about that on the channel. I don't think that's going to be a serious option, but that's the word from Dario Pellegrini right now as it stands. Continuing on, more Mercado in the midfield. Tuno Sports reporting that Pogba wants to return to the club, and he made it clear to people that he prefers to wait to understand the situation before entering in talks with PSG. So kind of a little bit more of what we were talking about yesterday, basically the report that PSG is maybe not willing to pay the kind of money that he was kind of expecting them to, because they like to overpay, right? They like to overpay for players. They'll throw the book at anybody they can, throw the bank, I guess, back the Brinks truck up to bring them in. It looks like right now PSG's maybe being a little bit more reserved when it comes to Pogba. And then if it's going to be similar to the amount of money that Juve would be playing, I think he'd rather come back to Turin. So that would be something to definitely keep an eye on, especially if you're high on the Pogba train or Pogba again or whatever you want to call it. I'm sure there's a new term for it within the next week or two. All right, the next news story up is more midfield talk, and that's, of course, talking about Zaniolo. And CalcioMercato.com are reporting that Zaniolo is ready to accept Juventus' contract offer. However, Roma value him at almost 70 million euros, and Juve now wants to start talks with Roma to, of course, lower the demands. Yeah, Juventus is not paying 70 million euros for Zaniolo. I refuse to believe that Juventus, and as much as I know, I've seen the comments, guys, I apologize, don't always get to respond to all of them. I understand your all's feelings on Zaniolo, and I also understand that I'm an Italian shill, and I love Zaniolo. He's a player that I want to see at Juventus, even barring the situation, obviously. But I am a reasonable human being. I understand what Zaniolo is worth. I understand what the injuries do. I also understand the way that his contract is framed right now. He only has a year more left on his contract. Why would Juventus pay 70 million euros to get Zaniolo? It's insane. They would not do that. I truly do not believe that. I think Juventus will find a way to lower that price demand. I would imagine probably somewhere in the 30 to 40 million euro range. Still a pricey get. That's my personal belief. Maybe they can do more. We've seen them work, miracles there in the Mercado with what they're able to get done. But again, I don't think 70 million euros. 70 million euros is preposterous. I even think 50 million is kind of preposterous. So I think probably closer to 30 or whatever, especially if Zaniolo were to kind of push it and be like, this is where I want to go. This is what I want to do. They don't have a lot of choices then. They want to make their money, right? Similar situation to how, well, not similar situation, but if you look at like the way the Dybala situation played out, would have been better if Juventus could have made some money a year ago off of him. All right. And then we continue with the midfield. This is the last bit of the midfield, I believe, talking about basically this is a big sticking point for who will be coming to the club. And I know a lot of people will be an actual piece of the club for Juventus next season. And I know there's a lot of fans out there that want to see the youth be utilized more. And that's where this new story comes up. Tutto Mercato Web is talking about basically Rovella, Fagioli. Pick one. There will only be a place in the squad for one player between Rovella and Fagioli. Rovella with Serie A experience under his belt seems to be the one getting a chance during training camp. So as it stands right now, it seems more and more likely that you're not going to be able to. You're not going to see this influx of youth coming into Juventus. When I say youth, I mean young. I'm talking about early 20s. Teens, whatever have you, that kind of age. You're not going to see all that. So when it comes to the youth being utilized at Juventus, it seems right now it's down between Rovella and Fagioli. If you're going to get any of them, it does. Well, of course, they're reporting it. So I can't say it seems that way. That's what they're reporting, is that it seems more and more likely that Rovella would be the player that gets that opportunity. I think also, not trying to say my sources or my insight or my belief, but I've spoken with some people who tend to believe that the feeling is that Fagioli just isn't Juve quality. And I understand there's a lot of people that are high on Fagioli. I'm not here to argue against you and tell you that he's not. But I'm giving you what I've heard. What I've heard is their kind of belief is that Fagioli's just not that level player for Juventus, and they've seen it. They've seen his training. They've seen, there's scouts, there's coaches out there that have seen him more than you and I have seen him. And I think their kind of belief is that he just isn't to that level. Will Rovella be to that level? I don't know. I'm not to be the guy to say that, but he does have experience in Serie A. Again, it's not Fagioli's fault that he hasn't been able to play for a Serie A club to be, put out there either, but that's where it stands right now. It looks like it's between Fagioli, Rovella, and Rovella's got a little bit of a head start there in his opportunity to potentially be playing for the club next season. This is the important part. This is what I want to hear your all's opinions, and I'm sure you guys have plenty because I know how important the youth sector is for a lot of the fans out there. Which one would you prefer? Let me know in the comment section down below. Would you rather see Rovella? Would you rather see Fagioli? Or are you a staunch defender of both, or neither? Let me know. I want to hear that. That's definitely a hot button topic for today. Continuing on, though, we've got to talk about some of the issues going on with players maybe trying to get rid of a player, and that is, of course, Tutto Mercato Web's talking about Moise Kean and his future. And this would be one, I'm going to drop a name of one of our viewers, Edgar. You're going to be excited. Don't get excited. It's not going to happen. But they're reporting saying that contacts in progress for the return of Moise Kean to PSG, but to buy the player, PSG would first need to sell Icardi. And this is where I say Icardi, they're saying they need to sell Icardi. They do not say that they need to sell Icardi to Juventus. Let's be clear on that. They do not need to sell Icardi to Juventus. He's not coming to Juventus. It's done. The dream is dead. Anyway, but first, if we want to get Moise Kean off the books for Juventus to maybe go after, obviously we talk about other days, the younger players, the Raspadori, an attacker like that, you need to get Moise Kean to move somewhere else, and PSG seems to be your best option. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. But again, Icardi, It's not Juventus. He's not going to Juventus. All right. Next topic up, we got to talk about this man and some of the players that he has, and this is Volker's Truth and the agent of many young players, especially German players. Pretty cool name, if we're being honest, right? That's how your name's Volker's Truth. Anyway, Calcio Mercato is reporting that Cherubini met with Volker's Truth. The club is interested in 2 players in particular. I think I butchered this yesterday. Weigl, and Timo Werner. Benfica are willing to sell the midfielder, but at 40 million euros. Chelsea want the same for Timo Werner. We talked about that a bit more on the channel yesterday in the live video we did. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. We talked about the different options that he has at his disposal, of who, and when I say disposal, that he could manage to potentially look at selling to Juventus. We'll see if either of those players end up coming to fruition, but we're just throwing that out there for now. All right, let's continue on. Now we got to talk about the center back situation at Juventus, and Judo Sports reporting that there is still a noticeable economic distance between the offer and the demands for Rudiger. The alternatives right now are Akanji, Milinkovic, and Bremer. Inter are pushing to get Bremer, of course. So that's where we sit right now. It's still going to be quite a bit to get to what Rudiger wants. Rudiger would be a good center back to bring into Juventus. It's just the amount of money right now that it appears that he wants is a bit ridiculous. He's basically asking for more money than De Ligt, and I think De Ligt's worth, I don't want to say much more than him, but definitely a lot. Definitely, I value him a lot more. Let's say that. Obviously, we talked about Akanji in the past. Milinkovic is the name, a blast from the past that came I remember talking about it a lot during the summer last year. We talked about if Juventus could get him from Fiorentina, and then, of course, everybody knows Bremer. But I want to stick with Milinkovic a little bit because Nicola Schiera is talking about saying that Juventus are monitoring Nikola Milinkovic for the summer transfer window. His contract with Fiorentina expires in 2023, and there's a release clause of 15 million euros. Bianconeri have open first talks with his agent, Fali Ramadani. So we'll see right now, there's a little bit more than just a name being floated out there. There are contracts, there are contacts, and I understand contacts, not that they mean everything, but we're starting to see a little bit more to develop there. If for some reason, a Rudiger won't come to Juventus. I like Milinkovic. I think he wouldn't be a bad option for them to bring in. I think it was a little bit more of a secondary option last summer, behind Chiellini, Bonucci, all those guys to get him in, but I think he still could be a pretty good option for Juventus. Let's continue. We got to talk about some other Juventus players right now, and we're looking at Morata and his situation. And Romeo Agresti comes in with his report saying that Juventus do not want to keep, they do want to keep Morata, but not at 35 million euros. Soon the 2 clubs will meet to discuss the situation. Note that the relationship between Juve and Atleti is great, and finding an agreement is not impossible. Yeah, I think Atletico Madrid are not high on wanting to bring him back to the club. So if they can, they do want to sell him. But again, Juventus are not going to pay 35 million euros. It's way too much money. If they can get him for about 15, 20 million euros, I think that's a deal that can be done between the clubs. Let's continue on, though. We got to talk about more players and their renewals. And this one's Romeo Agresti is talking about the chapter of De Sciglio. There has already been a meeting between the management of Juventus and the players' entourage. And soon, there will be another. The management seems to lead to the renewal. So it seems more and more likely that De Sciglio will get renewed. Probably just for, a couple million euros for a couple seasons. An affordable option. He's been useful under Allegri's tutelage. But there's got to be the meetings. There's got to be the Dybala, not really Dybala, let's not kid ourselves. These aren't going to be Dybala meetings, but they're going to be meetings that have to get done before anything can be final. And then the final news story of the day for you guys, Gazzetta dello Sport's reporting saying that Bernardeschi and Juventus are now further and further away from agreeing to a new deal. So it will be Arrivederci, Bernardeschi, he's going to be going somewhere else. The time that you've seen him at Juventus will come to a close following the season, more and more likely. And we'll see, does he end up going to Inter, as was, talked about, prophesized yesterday. We will see. But whatever, best of luck to him. And that's actually good for Juventus. Anyway, that'll do it for today's show. That's the news we have for you. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you like any of the players that are linked? Obviously, I know your feelings when it comes to certain players, but we do want to hear what you think about the ones that Juventus are linked to. What do you think about the Moise Kean Icardi news? Is that positive? Is that negative? And as well as Milinkovic-Savic, how bad do you want him? How bad do you think Juventus should work to get him in as quickly as possible? Let me know in the comments section down below. If you haven't already, like I said, please go ahead and like the video, smash that subscribe button. It really does help our channel grow. The more likes, the more subscribers, our community can grow. We can do more things for you guys as well. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. Make sure you follow Bianconeri Zone at Bianconeri Zone on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And if you haven't already, make sure you follow me at Justin Sofro on Twitter as well. I'll see you guys next time. Forza Juve, Forza Bianconeri.